Cowboys 1H Tom Fox, staff photographer Oklahoma State Cowboys running back Justice Hill, 27, gives TCU Horned Frogs safety Niko Small, 2, a stiff arm as he runs to the outside in the fourth quarter at Amon Carter Stadium in Fort Worth, Saturday, November 19, 2016. TCU lost, 31-6. Tom Fox, The Dallas Morning News by John Owning. At John Owning, the Dallas Cowboys were awarded a compensatory draft pick in the fourth round last week because of Anthony Hitchens' departure in free agency last offseason, giving them 6 total selections in the 2019 NFL Draft. Cowboys fans need not be reminded of the importance of a fourth-round compensatory pick. The franchise's current quarterback, Dak Prescott, was taken using a compensatory selection in the fourth round in 2016. Even though the Cowboys are unlikely to replicate that kind of success this year, they should still be able to add a player who can contribute immediately. Let's take a look at a few potential targets for the Cowboys with their fourth-round compensatory pick. Justice Hill, RB, Oklahoma State. Based on positional importance and team need, the Cowboys' compensatory pick would be a great opportunity to grab the running back. There will be no shortage of options for the Cowboys available when their pick comes around, but one of the best is Oklahoma State running back Justice Hill, who finished with 3 seasons over 5 touchdowns and 990 yards from scrimmage. Listed at 5'10" and 190 pounds, Hill doesn't have the biggest frame, but he makes up for it with speed, agility and versatility. Hill, who finished with 3,539 rushing yards, 5.6 yards per carry, and 30 rushing touchdowns in 3 seasons, is one of the more elusive running backs in the class, displaying the ability to layer cuts together to make multiple defenders miss. Unfortunately, Hill has the bad tendency of dancing too much, causing him to miss running lanes and leave too many yards on the table. Hill possesses little to no power as a ball carrier, meaning he isn't likely to push the pile or generate a ton of dirty yards. Yet, he does have notable contact balance, as he shows the ability to absorb contact and run through arm tackles. Hill displays the impressive ability to identify running lanes, especially against zone concepts, and the ability to manipulate second-level defenders by pressing the line of scrimmage before cutting into the open running lane, also known as the press and cut. Having said that, Hill's vision against crowded boxes will need significant development, as he often saw 5- and 6-man boxes playing in the wide-open Big 12, especially if he gets picked by the Cowboys, who tend to see a lot of 7- and 8-man boxes because of their play style. While Hill is a talented runner, it wouldn't be surprising if he made his biggest immediate impact in the passing game. Hill can be dangerous as a receiver out of the backfield and should see more production there than he did at Oklahoma State. 49 catches for 304 yards, 6.2 yards per catch, and 1 touchdown. Hill's elusiveness makes him an electric check-down option on any given play, while his smooth hips and quickness make him a difficult cover for any linebacker in man coverage. On top of his ability as a receiver, Hill is also adept in pass protection despite what his small frame would lead you to believe, displaying above-average technique. Hill's best initial fit in the NFL will likely be as a complementary back who can provide value on third down and special teams while providing the featured back a breather when need be, which is exactly what his role would be in Dallas. If selected, Hill would be a piece who could provide the Cowboys with a big play threat who can be utilized equally as a runner and receiver. Hill's ability in pass protection and as a receiver also gives Dallas the flexibility to employ some 2 running back sets with Hill and Ezekiel Elliott on the field at the same time. Mecole Hardman, WR, Georgia. If the Cowboys miss out on the Andy Isabella and Penny Harts of the world in the earlier rounds, Georgia's Mecole Hardman is the ideal target late in the 4th round. Listed at 5'10" and 183 pounds, Hardman lacks the size and frame of an outside receiver, meaning he'll likely spend most of his time at the slot receiver position in the NFL, which just so happens to be one of the positions where Dallas has a need. On top of Hardman's lack of size, the absence of big-time production, 35 catches for 543 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns in 2018, will likely push Hardman to the middle rounds. However, he possesses a skill set that has the potential to contribute immediately in the NFL. As a receiver, Hardman is a speedster who can win in the short and vertical aspects of the passing game. Hardman leverages his speed and explosiveness to separate from defensive backs on vertical routes. On shallow routes, Hardman's quickness and change of direction ability enable him to separate frequently from his coverage. Hardman does his best to widen his catch radius, as he shows the capability to snatch passes away from his frame, rarely relying on body-catching techniques to secure a pass. As of now, Hardman's route running relies more on his athleticism rather than refinement, which makes sense given that Hardman was moved to receiver for the first time as a sophomore in spring practice. Hardman will also need to improve a lot against physical coverage. When defended by elite, highly physical defensive backs, Hardman tends to get knocked off his path, ruining the timing of his route within the context of the play. He needs to become much more comfortable dealing with physical press coverage, though that would be used on a limited basis in the slot. Furthermore, Hardman must become more adept at creating clean breaks at the top of his route. All too often, his progress will be impeded by contact, which limits his ability to create separation out of his break at times. Once Hardman gets the ball in his hands, defenses are truly in trouble. The Georgia product is one of the most electrifying ball carriers in the wide receiver class. Once he receives the ball, Hardman's explosiveness allows him to turn upfield and quickly accelerate for positive yards after the catch. With the ball in his hands, Hardman is a slippery runner who can make multiple defenders miss in the open field. Hardman leverages his abilities with the ball in his hands well as a returner, as he averaged 20.6 yards per punt return and 25.2 yards per kickoff return during his junior season, 2018. With Dallas likely to lose Cole Beasley in free agency, Hardman would be a great pick to help fulfill Beasley's role in the offense. As of now, Hardman isn't close to the same route runner as Beasley, but he is a much better return man whose deep speed should be leveraged in the vertical passing game, something Beasley couldn't provide for the Cowboys' offense. Renell Wren, DT, Arizona State. The best way to describe Renell Wren as a prospect is all gas and no brakes. Listed at 6'5" and 294 pounds, there is a lot to like about the Arizona State product from a size and athleticism standpoint. However, he leaves a lot to be desired from a technical perspective, which is why he could still be available in the 4th round. On a positive note, Wren has one of the most explosive get-offs in the entire class, as Wren, who will be one of the top performers at the NFL Scouting Combine next week, can often penetrate in the backfield and disrupt because of his explosive burst off the snap. Wren combines his electric get-off with his immense raw strength to play with a unique amount of power at the point of attack. When Wren plays with proper pad level and hand placement, he is consistently able to reset the line of scrimmage and make plays in the backfield. While his hand technique leaves a lot to be desired, Wren developed an adept swim move to quickly defeat blocks and penetrate into the backfield. Unfortunately for Wren, his raw skill set sapped his ability to leverage his physical and athletic gifts all too often, which limited his production. Just 14.5 tackles for loss and 3 sacks in 29 career games at ASU. Wren's pad level has way too much variance from play to play, ruining his ability to consistently play with leverage. In accordance with his pad level, Wren's base has a nasty habit to narrow when Wren's pad level rises, causing him to get displaced out of his gap, which should never happen to someone with Wren's power. Ultimately, Wren is the type of player whose future projection varies greatly depending on the team who picks him. We'll see Arizona State product's best fit would be with a team that employs one gap, penetration-based defensive front, which is essentially what defensive coordinator Rod Marinelli employs with the Cowboys. Patience will be key for Wren's development, as he has a way to go in terms of refining his technique to the point where he can be consistently effective in the NFL. Luckily for Dallas, Marinelli has long proven capable of developing defensive line talent, and Wren appears to be an ideal future pupil. Enjoy this post. See more film room breakdowns from Owning here. Twitter, @JohnOwning.